Welcome to the wrong side of the TCM tracks. I'm Eddie Muller, your guide through this nefarious netherworld. Today, Noir Alley intersects with Side Street, a relatively big-budget noir from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer that features the second pairing of stars Farley Granger and Kathy O'Donnell. They first appeared together in Nick Ray's They Live by Night, which was shot at RKO in 1947, but put on the shelf by new studio boss Howard Hughes. After RKO production chief Dory Sherry moved to MGM, he feared that Nick Ray's picture might never be released, so he decided to put Granger and O'Donnell together again at his new studio. When Howard Hughes learned this, he decided to beat Sherry to the punch, finally releasing They Live by Night in November 1949, a few weeks before Side Street opened nationwide. So the public's big gift in the Christmas season of 1949 was a double dose of Farley Granger and Kathy O'Donnell, a couple of beautiful, innocent kids caught in a vortex of crime and tortured by cruel fate. Merry Christmas. Hey, this was the height of the noir era. The charismatic actors weren't the only thing Sherry reclaimed from his days at RKO. He had also worked with Anthony Mann, who'd done impressive work with a low-budget B called Desperate, made in 1947. After that, Mann made two dynamite pictures at Eagle Lion, T-Men and Raw Deal. And Sherry was so impressed with these, he enticed Mann and his creative team, writer John C. Higgins and cinematographer John Alton, away from scrappy Eagle Lion into the rarefied air of MGM, where cash flowed more freely. Now, this creative quartet immediately produced a hard-hitting, socially conscious crime film in the style of T-Men called Border Incident. It was precisely the kind of picture studio boss L.B. Mayer loathed. And so began the battle between Dory Sherry and L.B. Mayer for creative control of the studio. Sherry's next project, tailored especially for Anthony Mann, was an original story and screenplay by former newspaperman Sidney Boehm, one clearly inspired by the previous year's big hit, The Naked City. But where Jules Dassin's film was notable for being one of the first authentic police procedurals, Boehm fashioned his New York story as something much more noir. The protagonist is a young newlywed struggling to gain purchase in the urban jungle, a naive kid who is completely innocent, until the moment he's not, when he makes a rash decision that puts him in a lethal crossfire of cops and crooks. Now, nobody played this kind of vulnerable character better than Farley Granger, and Anthony Mann seems to delight in putting the young actor through his special brand of hell.
You give a guy 30 grand and say, "Hold it for me, will you, pal?" Is that it?
Relentlessly bruising and battering his beautiful face, which would become, during the 1950s, one of the director's trademarks. For this film, Mann didn't have his genius sidekick John Alton, but Sherry gave him MGM's best, Joe Rutenberg, who showed his mettle straight away, operating the camera himself while sitting on the open hatch of a blimp circling high above Manhattan. This footage provides the stunning opening images of Side Street, and Rutenberg's work is wonderfully evocative throughout. Note how the film's lighting scheme changes to reflect the protagonist's spiral from sunny optimism to dismal despair. Side Street features a supporting cast filled with noir stalwarts like Adele Jurgens, Charles McGraw, and Paul Kelly, who provides the voiceover narration.
Murder a day, every day of the year, and each murder will wind up on my desk.
Now, besides Granger and O'Donnell, the two standouts in the cast are James Craig as the murderous Georgie Garcelle, and Jean Hagen, essentially making her movie debut as tipsy torch singer Harriet Sinton, a performance that inspired John Huston to cast her as the female lead in The Asphalt Jungle.
Got his address?
Not for the house. Hey, I fit, don't I?
Like a motorman's club.
This would be the final film noir in Anthony Mann's filmography. After this, the frontier would be his métier, and he made some of the best westerns ever. As a swan song, Mann leaves Dark City in high style. From 1949, here is Side Street.